What's up, everybody? Welcome to the third episode of In This Economy. My name is Matt, and I'm here with my delightful co-host, as always, Sam. How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing great, Maddie. I'm happy to be here. I've been excited about this all week. Let's get this bread.
Yes, absolutely. That is the point of the podcast. So for those who are new to this, what we like to describe it as is Barstool Sports meets CNBC. So we talk all things from biotech and other equity stocks to degenerate NFL gambling. Would you say that's fair?
That's fair. There's going to be a couple other things thrown up depending on the topic du jour, but it's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I think so. And before we get into everything, we're going to start off by doing a recap of last week, what worked, what didn't. We're then going to talk about an exciting sector that has not seen a lot of action lately, but it was the hot sector of cryptocurrencies. So we're going to touch about what it was like back then in 2017, 2 years ago. I was a young man back then, was really excited about that market, but since then, things have really fallen apart.
Then we'll get into what I'm sure you're all waiting for, is my can't miss bet of the week, our parlays. I also, before we get into any of this, please follow us on @EconomyPod on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, rate us 5 stars. If you don't think this podcast is worthy of 5 stars, go ahead and send us an email at inthiseconomypod@gmail.com. Go ahead and voice your concerns, but please subscribe. Tell a friend to subscribe. Tell that friend to tell a few more friends. Yeah. And let's grow this thing.
Yeah, exactly. Let's make it a Ponzi scheme if possible.
That's the goal.
So the first thing I want to talk about, and if you guys remember, I originally put up the stock, Aurinia is the name of the company. The ticker name is AUPH, and they doubled last week on some positive phase 3 data. And last time I did mention that you should sell because they were going to raise money and the stock would lower on that. And it turns out that they did decide to do a raise at $15 a share. But what ended up happening, Sam, is the stock actually increased in price because there was that much demand for the stock. So it's going to remain a hot stock, but I would not buy at this level. But I just wanted to bring this up. Kind of just like, I called it and it did happen. Not really a good opportunity to buy or sell here. Well, you could sell, but not really a good opportunity to play anything right here. But just wanted to bring that up.
How are we doing on our fish oils? That's what everyone's here for.
Yeah. So I do have a bit of news. Nothing on the new stock I brought up last week, which was Acasti. We are still waiting for the phase 3 data that should come out before the end of the year, at least for one of the 2 phase 3 trials. So keep an eye out for that. The ticker there was ACST. My company that's very near and dear to my heart is Amarin. They have an EPA drug that is able to lower triglycerides. And we actually heard this week that there was a rumor that they might get bought out by Gilead, which is a very large pharmaceutical company that might be looking to get into the cardiovascular space. Now, Amarin is a very retail-driven stock, and what that means is that a lot of plebs like me like to invest in it who don't really know anything. So these rumors can get started really fast, and they might not hold any water. But I think the fact that we saw the stock increase maybe 4 or 5% this week was because of this Gilead buyout rumor that has a good chance of being fake.
So this is my pump and dump call out of the week.
Yeah.
Let's pump it and let's dump it. We love those omega-3s.
We do love the omega-3s. Now, the real catalyst that I'm looking for in Amarin is going to come before the end of the year, where the FDA is going to decide on whether or not to approve it and how big the label should be. So how many people are going to be recommended to take this drug. So I think it's a buy because it's going to increase, because I think the FDA is going to be very generous in the labeling for this. And that's it for fish oil. I know I bring it up every week, but that's my fish oil update. And
I know everyone's waiting for it. We also have some good news. If you were listening last week, we were talking about Canopy Growth, which we dubbed the Amazon of marijuana stocks.
Yeah.
And boy, are we picking them. If you just listened to us, we said it was a good time to buy and hold. Well, you're up 20% on your money if you would have just listened to us last week.
Yeah, it's true. And who could have predicted this? Because it was really, fundamentally, the only thing that changed was a personnel change. And they announced that David Klein is going to be taking the empty CEO spot. And David Klein is a former now, well, he will be a former executive at excuse me there.
Yeah.
A former executive at Constellation Brands, which has always had a stake, has had a stake in Canopy for a long time, but their stake is around like 38% now. So the two companies are pretty intertwined, and I think David at the helm of Canopy is going to make the right calls, and obviously the market agrees with that, given the increase that we saw in the stock.
For those of you that don't know about Constellation Brands, they're a huge player in the alcohol brand game. They are the owners of Corona, Modelo, Pacifico. They had owned Ballast Point. They actually made waves about 4 years ago when they bought Ballast Point Brewery for $1 billion.
That long ago, too.
Yeah. And they recently just got rid of it, I want to say in the last 2 weeks. The numbers aren't out on what they got rid of it for, but everyone says they took a pretty big haircut. But they're a big player, and overall the trend that you're seeing with most alcohol stocks is they're kind of partnering up with marijuana stocks. Again, Canopy Growth, the biggest player in marijuana stocks. Constellation Brands, the biggest player in alcohol stock. So it's pretty much a match made in heaven. This is a good move. Obviously, the market agreed with it. And again, if you just listened to this pod and went with our recommendation, you'd be up 20%. And I haven't even started talking about my bets yet.
Yeah, right. And
But
this is,
what a segue.
Right, because we got to get into it, because Sam, Thursday was not looking good for us. I think you tweeted out, do you remember the matchup?
Yeah, I do. It was Bears Cowboys. We took at Economy Pod took the Cowboys -3. At the time we were recording the podcast, the Cowboys were up 7-0. It was looking good. I think I even said on the pod that our bet was looking good. By the time we finished recording the podcast, it was 17-7 Bears. It wasn't looking that good. I may or may not have had a couple beers, and I thought about retiring.
Yeah.
I thought about quitting the podcast game.
Because that would have been 0 for 4.
That would have been 0 for 4.
Right.
And then my can't miss bet of the week.
Yeah.
It came in hot, and it looked like we were going to win. And Jameis did exactly what I said he was going to do. He was throwing interception after interception.
Oh, yeah. Who he plays for what team again?
The Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The can't miss bet of the week was the Colts money line. They had just lost by 3 points.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we did not hit our degenerate morning parlay.
Right. But so then we're at 0 for 5, 0 for
6.
0 for 6. Okay.
We're 0 for 6, so it was not looking good.
Right.
And then what happens? Just when you thought you were out, they bring you back in.
Yeah. So your afternoon degenerate parlay. They're all degenerate parlays, right?
They sure are.
The afternoon one is special for some reason.
Man, the afternoon ones, what I come to see is the afternoon games, they're much less of them, so you really need something to kind of, unless your team is playing, you really need something to keep your interest, get your beak wet.
Right, as they say.
As they say, yeah. So, man, those are where the juicy matchups were.
Yeah.
And I told you guys on the pod, as I was looking at this degenerate parlay, I had to take it. It was Chiefs money line against the Patriots, Steelers money line, and Titans money line against the terrible Raiders.
Right.
And oh man, 100 won you 576. And boy, did we hit.
We hit. I even took that. You know, it looked so juicy, even you describing it last week. I had to take it too. Man,
and I hope that everyone listening took it, because it made up for all our losses. We are now at an even playing field, and I am excited for this week's picks. I think we are beginning a hot streak. There was no beginner's luck for us, because we don't need beginner's luck.
That's right.
We are winners
in the long run.
In the long term. And I'm so excited you guys are all on this journey. We saw our listener count and our subscriptions go up substantially, and I think we know why. It's because if you listen to us, you'll probably make money.
Things work out.
Things work out.
And now, I think this is a good time for us to shift gears a little bit.
Yeah, boop, 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 boop. Did you hear that, Matt? What was that? Is that boop, 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 boop? Oh my God, that's our time machine. Let me set the stage for us. The year is 2017. It's December. You
Yeah.
probably invested in cryptocurrency roughly June of this year. You bought in at $2,500 for Bitcoin. And man, you have been watching this bad boy rise
Right.
and rise and rise. You're probably planning your retirement for March 2018.
Thinking about, can I take a home equity loan out?
Yeah. I mean, and it was on the up. This is actually how Matt and I became friends. We were in the hockey locker room just discussing Bitcoin and Ethereum and just talking about all the millions we were going to make with our gains and how excited we are. And it got to the point where stocks were boring.
Yeah.
Because if a stock goes up 10, 20%, that's great. But, I mean, at Bitcoin, you were doubling, tripling, quadrupling your money in 2-3 weeks. And boy, was that sexy.
Yeah.
So I like to reminisce on those times, and I miss them dearly.
Yeah.
R.I.P. to 2017.
I know. I don't know if it's going to come back. I guess we'll talk about some of the struggles that sector has had, but
To give you to just give you guys a little bit of
context. We'll
context, yes.
Yeah. So I think the peak was December 2017, right? As far as I know, that's what it was.
January 2018, it was the highest it ever got, and then the fall hit hard.
Yeah, right. That fall. So I think the total market cap of the entire crypto market was $832 trillion US, which is, an astronomical amount of money to think that it's in some kind of distributed ledger or whatever blockchain types of technologies that are out there. And today the total market cap is sitting around $200 trillion US. So, what's that? 4 times less?
Yep.
Definitely
checks
taken
out.
a huge hit. And that's still all the coins that are in existence and all the ones that have come to be public now, because in 2017 there were far fewer coins than there are today. So still all these coins continue to be unleashed on the public, but their value is just so much lower than they were back then. So the major cryptocurrencies, obviously Bitcoin and Ethereum are probably the top two, the ones that are most talked about, probably the ones that have the most longevity. Maybe Litecoin was before Ethereum, but Bitcoin at its peak was at $19,450, and this was in late 2017, early 2018, and now it's sitting around $7,000 or so dollars per coin.
There was people mortgaging their houses, buying Bitcoin. I mean, leveraging everything they owned, and if they bought at the peak, which a lot of people did, or close to the peak, they are down quite a bit.
Yeah. And it actually took some time to get back to that 7,000 area. There's definitely times in 2018 and throughout this year where it was sitting around $5,000-6,000. So you're almost looking at 4 times less your value. And it's kind of been sitting around the 7,000 area for a while, and it hasn't done much. And we're used to this volatility all the time, but it's there's been attempts for it to go higher and approach 10,000, but nothing like we saw in 2017.
Yeah, I kind of miss watching it all, as the crypto world says, moon.
Oh,
But this is actually a really good time for people that are day trading, because it is not as volatile as it used to be, but it's still moving every single day, every minute, really. If you have the patience to day trade, you can make, a few $100s a day easily. You watch these prices fluctuate. You buy at, let's say right now it's at 7,260. You buy at 7,250. That's going to be 30 seconds from now. And then you sell at 7,265. That's going to be 4 minutes later.
Yeah.
You really do see that. I know at a time that Ethereum was in the 250 range, 275 range. Now it's in the 145s. But I used to definitely day trade and trade by the hour until it just got too time consuming.
Yeah.
And then the mooning happened. It went from 250 to 350 overnight, then 350 to 450, and I was just looking at Lambo prices, really.
Yeah. But it's all over now, it seems to be. And for me, anyway, my opinion on this is that really the concerns, well, I guess how I want to describe it, there was obviously this irrational exuberance. That's how they describe these insane increases in price. So that happened, and then reality ended up striking, volume ended up drying up. and we got to a reasonable valuation, I guess, for an asset that people like to consider a digital gold or a store of wealth in that way. And really, I think the reason why we're not seeing this like big buy-in is that the utility isn't really there. So obviously, you can use Bitcoin to make purchases, but it's not ubiquitous like Visa or MasterCard. The enormity of that market just hasn't been tapped by cryptocurrency.
So that's actually why I think it's a good long-term hold. The way I explain it to people, and I'm not well versed in this technology at all, but I do think that you have to hold on to at least some, have it in your portfolio. It's kind of like owning IBM in the 70s.
Sure.
You really had no idea about computing power back then if you were just the average person, but you knew it could be a big deal and really smart people are excited about. So I think that long term, it's probably good to have someone in your portfolio. I would not recommend maybe mortgaging your house for it.
Sure.
But I don't think it's a bad idea to buy. I think now is a pretty good time to buy. Again, it could be $5,000 tomorrow, but it could really just as well skyrocket to $10,000 tomorrow. So I think in the anything below $10,000 per Bitcoin is a pretty good price. You also have to look into the beauty of it is it's not like a stock share where you have to buy one full share. You buy a percentage of it. You want to play around, throw $500 in the fire, throw $1,000 in the fire. It doesn't really matter. You could get your beak wet a little bit. You could dip your toes in the water. All the analogies you want.
Right.
That reference water.
That's true. Yeah, if you do want some exposure. And the one thing to consider is that it is all based off of this public ledger that's out there that's all reliant on the internet. So there's obviously some risks associated with that. If the apocalypse does come and the internet goes away, seemingly you might not be able to get access to any of this money that exists technically on the internet.
And the government can definitely come in there and regulate, and that would pretty much demolish it.
Yeah,
instantly.
I think that's the other big concern, and people aren't willing to invest large sums of money because at any moment a government could just say that, using this currency is illegal. It could be that easy, and the whole, all of this stuff, this public ledger and stuff, would just not be useful in that country. So for those reasons, it's tough to believe that this is going to be able to replace, say, a currently government-backed fiat currency, we'll say. And one company that's actually trying to do this is Facebook, and we saw this with their Libra coin announcement. And they're planning to launch this still in 2020. Zuckerberg himself was testifying in front of the U.S. Senate or the U.S. Congress saying how he wants to be compliant with all these regulations. But I don't think he realizes the reality of that, which means that they would need to apply all of the banking regulations to their Facebook coin. And governments do painstaking regulations on the banks to ensure there's no insane fraud things or money laundering and things like that. So I think it's a bit naive for Facebook to think that they can just jump into this market and have their own money here.
And it's pretty funny, the whole point, one of the reasons that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency kind of came to the forefront was because people didn't trust banks.
Right.
They didn't want those regulations. So for a cryptocurrency like Libra to be regulated kind of defeats the purpose.
It does, and that's the tough part about this, is that governments are still going to exist. So unless we live in a system that has no overarching boss, like the state, I think they're always going to want to control the money. And they would be stupid not to, because then they lose all of that power that's associated with that.
Sure.
So the Libra coin actually is interesting because it's going to be backed by a basket of currencies. And they've actually given out the denominations. So most of it is comprised of the US dollar. The one next to that is the euro, then the Japanese yen, etc., etc. But the partners that are associated with it are actually going to put up $10 million each. So it's going to have this backing by real money. And it's going to be pegged to these currencies. So it's not really going to be something useful to speculate on any more than it would be speculating on different currencies day to day.
What's funny about that is they're backing this with US dollars. It's kind of like when they backed the US dollar originally with physical gold, which obviously is not the case now. But that kind of goes into our next segment, which is, which would you rather have? physical gold that you could keep.
Right.
You could hold on to it. You could see it. Or Bitcoin. It's
Right.
intangible. You can't see it. Most of us don't even know what it is.
Yeah, and this has been a debate that's been going on quite a while, and I think the gold bugs have actually won out more than the Bitcoin bugs because the price of Bitcoin has gone so far lower than the price of gold has, especially in the last few months. Because I think gold per ounce right now is sitting around like $14.70, and I think the peak is around $2,000 per ounce. So gold isn't doing that bad in 2019 compared to Bitcoin anyway. So I think a lot of people feel good about physical gold since it's had that longevity power as well. You know, gold for centuries has had value in some capacity, even other precious metals as well. Whereas Bitcoin is still this ethereal thing that we have it in on the internet on a bank account that we can see there, but without that internet, it's kind of not there. Whereas physical gold, I can keep in a safe, I can keep it in my back pocket kind of thing. Or make nice jewelry out of it. We've been thinking about that too. You can't do that with Bitcoin.
Yeah, you can't wear a Bitcoin around your neck, but it'd be cool if you could.
It would be cool.
Yeah.
So I think it's tough. I have some money in precious metals as well as in cryptocurrency. So diversification, I think, in a safe portfolio is appropriate. And nothing about this is degenerate. It's really just like you're thinking about the future in case the worst happens. But it's still interesting, and I think the craziness of 2017 really made crypto this like insane play. But I think now we can kind of look at it as maybe being less volatile and maybe being a safe investment long term, and only if you're putting a small amount of money, or unless you want to day trade, but you know what you're getting into then.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a long-term play. I like to keep my precious metals around my neck, around my wrist, personally.
Maybe on your rims.
Yeah, maybe on my rims if they're spinning. So, it was just nice to reminisce about 2017, how exciting that time was, how fun it was to look up at your phone and just watch your net worth grow.
Yeah.
But those times are over.
Done.
I say it's a long-term play.
Right.
And I think now we can get into what you're all here for, what we're excited about.
Yeah.
It's time for Sam's Can't Miss Bet of the Week.
Yeah.
That is what I'm talking about. So last week, the Texans threw up quite a stinker. And this week, they're back. They're going to be playing the Tennessee Titans.
And Titans did well last week.
Pretty good team, and they're in the same division, and they're fighting for that playoff spot.
Oh, wow.
The Texans' money line, they're going to Tennessee. My can't miss bet of the week is the Texans' money line plus 115. That means you have to put up $100, and you would win $115.
Okay.
I think with the playoffs on the line, I trust Deshaun Watson. I trust DeAndre Hopkins. The Titans, although good, I don't think they'll be able to beat the Texans with the playoffs on the line. The Texans have beat really good teams when it matters. This is the time of the year, I think, where the good teams don't really lose anymore, if that makes sense. I think that the teams that are supposed to make the playoffs at this point, they're not going to get surprised. They're not going to underestimate any opponents. I think the teams that should win do win for pretty much the rest of the season, unless they've already got their playoff spot.
Right.
So, again, my can't miss bet of the week is going to be the Texans money line over the Titans. That's plus 115. That game is going to be Sunday morning. I will throw up my Thursday evening bet on our Twitter. That's at EconomyPod. You have to listen. And you know what? For our subscribers, our new listeners, I have something else for you. If you add our Twitter at EconomyPod and you DM us and say, hey, love the pod, I'll give you a free penny stock tip.
Oh,
yeah.
No
How about that?
way.
How about that?
Giving out penny stock tips.
Yeah, I'll give you a penny stock tip.
All right.
So all you have to do is follow us at EconomyPod on Twitter.
And so,
go ahead, DM us and say, hey, love the pod. Jeez. And with that, you're going to get a free penny stock pick.
I don't even know what this is. This is great.
You can go ahead and add us.
I might. I'll throw up a like as well.
My man.
Or, I'll like to a tweet.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Maybe even retweet.
Sure.
Now it's time for our degenerate parlays.
Oh, yeah. And now you're riding high.
I'm riding real high on these. We'll start with the morning parlay, which is we'll start with the Buccaneers money line versus the Lions. The Buccaneers are up and down. We've seen Jameis throw a lot of interceptions. Yeah, so yikes is brutal. Right. But the Lions are not a good team. Yeah, they're mailing it in. They're without their quarterback. And the Buccaneers, surprisingly, are actually kind of in the playoff hunt. They're probably not going to make it, but they're really throwing some punches. Mm-hmm. So they're going to want to win. Again, Jameis Winston is fighting for his career at this point.
Oh, so really?
He wants to, this is the last year of his contract.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So he has to win.
Right.
So I'm taking the Buccaneers money line versus the Lions. Then we got the Eagles money line versus the Redskins. We've talked on this podcast. The Redskins are trash.
It's just a bad team.
Just an overall bad team. The Eagles, pretty trash too. But somehow, in the playoff hunt, they're actually, right now, if they win out, they make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They win their division. So, I think, like I said earlier, the teams that should win at this point of the year probably will. The Eagles should beat the Redskins. I think the Eagles will win. So I got Eagles money line. Then we got the Packers money line versus the Bears. Bears are trash. I know they beat the Cowboys. That's not saying much.
Right.
The Packers are really good. Aaron Rodgers is Aaron Rodgers. They are playing in Lambeau, I believe. So I really like the Packers in this one. We got the Patriots versus Cincinnati. Of course, the Patriots are in some more controversy again.
Yeah,
that's just par for the course. And, of course, they're playing Cincinnati.
Right.
We're on to Cincinnati, as Bill Belichick says. Cincinnati seems to always be there for the Patriots right when they need it. They're on a little bit of a losing streak. The Patriots are going to destroy the Bengals. It is going to be a massacre. I'm looking forward to it. So I got Pat's money line versus Cincinnati. And then last game for the morning degenerate parlay is the Seahawks money line versus the Panthers. The Panthers just fired their coach, good old Riverboat Ron. They're a team that's in limbo. They're a team that has no chance of making the playoffs. They are not very good, and they're going to lose to the Seahawks. The Seahawks are very good. They're coming off a loss. They lost their division position to my 49ers. They cannot really afford to lose too many more games, so I really like Seattle. If you're going for this money line, it's $100 would win you $448, so roughly 4.5x return on your investment if it hits. Again, that's Buccaneers money line, Eagles money line, Packers money line, Patriots money line, Seahawks money line. 100 wins you 448. Right. And then here's my real pick. This one is, man, when I was writing this one down, I had to take it. This one was too juicy, Maddie.
Juicy, right?
I had to take it when I was writing it down. I got the 49ers minus 10.5 playing the Falcons. The 49ers are great. Yeah, that spread, that's pretty big.
Big spread.
Man, the Falcons are pure trash.
Yeah.
They are playing against the 49ers in San Jose or Santa Clara. The Falcons do not travel well. The Falcons, historically, Matt Ryan, their quarterback, does not really throw well in open-air places. He's more of what they call a dome quarterback. Julio Jones is not completely healthy. Matt Ryan is not a mobile quarterback, so that means that the 49ers defense, our guy Joey Bosa, or Nick Bosa, is going to be... He's just going to be sacking him left and right.
That guy.
Yeah, you really do. And, we saw our guy Jimmy. He is capable of scoring points.
Jimmy G,
what a guy.
Yeah.
He's got George Kittle back. Yeah. Matt Breida, the Cheetah, is back.
Okay.
I think that we're going to put up a lot of points. So I got Niners minus 10.5 versus the Falcons. Then we got the Rams minus 1.5 versus the Cowboys. We just saw the Rams put up a really good game against the Seahawks, beat the Seahawks, did my Niners a huge favor. The Rams leveraged their future this year, trading, and the last few years really just trading away picks to get these superstars, and they're at their cap limit, and they got Jalen Ramsey this year, and as it stands right now, they're actually not in the playoffs, but they're very close. They're right on the cusp. They need to win this game. The Cowboys are really bad, and really Vegas clearly thinks that this game is very close because the line's only minus 1.5.
Right.
What that tells me is it's really going to be a tale of coaches. And if we're talking coaches, Sean McVay is so much better than Jason Garrett. I like the Rams -1.5 on this. Then I got Vikings money line versus the Chargers.
Yeah.
The Chargers are trash.
They are.
I know they just had a big win last week, but Phillip Rivers is not consistent. Vikings defense is very good,
Yeah.
and I just feel like the Vikings
Yeah.
are definitely going to win.
As San Diego locals, we
It's-
just
screw the
Chargers left
Chargers.
a real bad taste in our mouth.
Yeah.
Happy to see them lose.
Good riddance.
Yeah.
And you want to talk juicy? I told you guys this was juicy. So again, this was -10.5 49ers versus the Falcons. Rams -1.5. Vikings money line. $100 wins you $733. Vegas must have made a mistake. I don't know what
Whoa,
happened.
that
That's
is
7.3 return on your money. This is gonna be huge. Go ahead, your Christmas present's paid for.
Jesus. It makes me want to take it.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know what to think, but the way you're selling it right now is very enticing.
So here's the thing. For those of you that are feeling a little skittish about that 49ers -10.5, that's okay.
Money line.
For you non-believers. Yeah, so I got a little sweep you can make. So if you want to add Raiders money line versus the Jags, I know I said the Raiders are trash, and they really are. The Jaguars are not very good, and this game is the very last Raiders game in the Oakland Coliseum. So the last game of the original Black Hole,
Right.
they are going to show out. They're going to play hard. They're not in the playoffs, but neither are the Jaguars. They're both teams kind of flailing around, so this really just comes down to who's going to want it more.
Right.
The Raiders are going to want it more. So I got Raiders money line versus the Jags, and then I got 49ers money line versus the Falcons. So this degenerate parlay would be Rams -1.5, Vikings money line, Raiders money line, 49ers money line. $100 wins you $616.
Still,
Not the same return, but it's still a 6x return. And in this economy,
yeah.
you
right?
really
Right.
you cannot pass that up. If you hit both of these parlays, you're swimming in $1,100, almost $1,200.
Yeah.
And you want to talk about a nice holiday season?
Yeah, right.
You were talking flat screen TVs, PS4s, luxury purses.
Luxury couches.
Yeah, luxury.
Yeah.
You're living in a life of luxury. Hell, if you bet $1,000, you win $7,000.
That's hot tub level.
Yeah, we're talking hot tubs. You'll be taking soaks all winter long, just feeling like $1 million because only millionaires have hot tubs. Everyone knows that.
Everyone does know that.
Yeah. So those are
Man,
my picks.
all right,
I hope you're as excited as I am. We are gonna make a lot of money this weekend.
I'm really excited about that afternoon one.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is about the afternoon.
they're juicy.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm in. And I like to play it a little more conservative, so I might take you up on the adjusted degenerate parlay.
That's okay.
But I think, still making 6x on
Yeah.
your money is pretty remarkable.
That's 2017 crypto money.
Yeah. God, yeah. If only.
So again, guys, please, please, please subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell that friend to tell a friend. That is at EconomyPod on Twitter. You want to email us? It's inthiseconomy@gmail.com.
In this economy pod at gmail.com.
Oh, well, there you have it. inthiseconomypod
That's all right.
at gmail.com.
And you can find us in Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Pocket Casts, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, go there. Also, rate us, leave us 5 stars. That would be awesome.
Funny review. You know what? How about this? You leave us a funny review and you DM us at EconomyPod, and I will give you another
No.
bet. Another bet.
Whoa.
Yeah, another sneaky
Man.
bet.
I thought it might be a second penny stock tip.
No, not yet. But man, are we closing deals for the end of the year?
Yeah, no doubt. All right. Well, great, Sam. Thanks, buddy. I think we hit it out of the park this time.
We really did.
So with that, guys, thank you so much for listening or watching. You can also find us on YouTube, by the way. But with that, we'll wrap it up. Have yourselves a lovely day, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.